The $1,000 decision. In the heart of New York City, where dreams are as tall as the skyscrapers, Sarah sat in a small coffee shop, staring at her laptop screen. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, frozen in thought. She had just received an email with an offer she had been waiting for, an opportunity to finally advance in her career. But there was a catch. To accept the position, she had to pay for a training program that cost exactly $1,000. Sarah had always dreamed of making it big, of rising up from her modest beginnings. Growing up in a small town, she never had much. Her parents worked hard, but money was always tight. Moving to the city was her way of chasing the American dream. But the reality of living in a place like New York was different from the fantasy she had imagined. Rent was sky high, her student loans kept her up at night, and her savings account had barely enough to cover a week's groceries. The $1,000 felt like a mountain, especially when every dollar counted. She had saved up just enough for emergencies, but this was no emergency. It was a chance to secure her future. Her phone buzzed on the table, snapping her out of her thoughts. It was a text from her best friend, Lisa. "Are you going to do it? This could be your big break." But the question lingered. Could she afford it? What if the training didn't lead to the promised opportunities? What if she couldn't make it work, and she was left with even less? The city was full of stories like this, stories of people who made big decisions, gambled with their savings, and came out on top. But there were just as many stories of people who had lost it all, who couldn't afford to take that next step, and ended up stuck in their current jobs, never breaking free. Her mind wandered to the stories she had heard from her coworkers. Some had made sacrifices, sold things they didn't need, borrowed money from family and friends. Others had put everything on credit cards, hoping their future would pay off their present. It was the American way: risk, hustle, and dream big. But in a city where the cost of living was constantly rising, how much risk could one take? After a long moment of hesitation, Sarah closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She had worked too hard to let this slip through her fingers. With a mix of excitement and fear, she clicked accept on the email. The moment the confirmation popped up on her screen, she felt both relieved and terrified. There was no turning back now. The $1,000 was a risk, yes, but it was also an investment in herself. In a world where everyone was constantly competing, sometimes you had to make bold choices. And Sarah was ready for the challenge. As she left the coffee shop, her steps felt lighter. The hustle of the city, the noise of the streets, seemed to fade into the background. For the first time in a long while, Sarah felt like she was in control of her own destiny. And the story reflects a common dilemma in American society, where people often have to take risks, make sacrifices, or invest in themselves in order to seize opportunities for advancement. The theme of balancing dreams and financial limitations is something many can relate to, especially in competitive, high-cost cities like New York.